Okay, good morning everyone. This is a boarding announcement this time. Welcome to Rome. My name is Alan Duncan. I have a joint position with the University of Edinburgh, the Global Academy of Agriculture and Food Security, and ILRI, the International Livestock Research Institute. I'm here in Rome to help facilitate this meeting, to keep it moving over the next 3 days. So you should hear a fair bit of me over the next few days. Apologies for that. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we begin. Firstly, toilets are out that door. If you're a lady, you turn left. If you're a gentleman, you turn right. There's no fire drill planned for today, so if the fire alarm goes off, then it's for real, and you need to make your way to the fire exits there and there. One other thing to say is that the meeting is being live streamed to the world, and we will also be taking photographs. So if you have issues with being photographed or live streamed, please make yourself known to Vanessa, and we will make sure that your privacy is respected. I think that's all I want to say for the moment. We have a full program of presentations, conversations, some speed dating, some working groups, so lots to come today. But before we get on with any of that, I'm going to ask one or two people to come up and give a few words of welcome. So firstly, I'd like to ask Dr. Berhe Tekola from FAO, who is our host, to come up and give the welcome on behalf of FAO. Dr. Berhe.
Good morning all, and thank you for taking your time and come to FAO. On behalf of FAO and that of my own division, the Animal Production and Health Division, I would like to say welcome to FAO, welcome to Rome. Well, Rome today is not as shiny as it used to be, but it will come as hours advance. We are delighted to host this meeting, a meeting that really is at the center of FAO's priorities and in line with the new FAO initiatives, where we today are talking about big data. Big data are all about, the data we collect from the grassroots level and to make it for the use of the broad mass community on the ground. Data are important, particularly when it comes to the livestock sector, where due to lack of quality data, innovative data, we are not a bit out of the stray. That means we are not able to convince even policymakers as well as donors, because to convince policymakers and donors to take decision, we have to have something evidence-based data. So not every data is correct, but it should have to be of quality data, innovative way of collected data, and which brings a positive impact on the ground. FAO recognizes the importance of and the role of livestock on the ground. I don't want to preach you of the importance of livestock because most of you are linked to the livestock sector. But at the same time, we have some drawbacks as well that we have to address. Foodborne animal product diseases, animal health, zoonotic diseases. As we can see today, the new coronavirus is expected to be originated from animals. And above all, the relationship between livestock and the environment. The contribution of the livestock to the environment, positively, negatively, we can discuss them. But I think we have to admit that livestock contributes negatively to the environment. But that doesn't mean that the solution is elsewhere. The solution is within the livestock sector, as far as we open-mindedly act and dedicate our time to address them. A good understanding of data underpinning the sector is critical to balancing the trade-offs that we are talking about. So, having new and innovative as well as quality data cannot be done in silo. FAO alone or my division alone can do the job. It should have to be based on partnership. Partnership starts at home. And that's why AGA, my division, collaborates with different divisions and departments to address how best we can have this quality data. That's why we have invited today colleagues from the Department of Economic and Social Development to discuss this issue along with our partners, you, present here today. So with our internal departments and divisions, and you on the field with our donors, there is nothing that we cannot address. The mission of livestock data for decision is to drive better livestock decisions through improved data analysis and to really knock the doors of the right policymakers and donors. For this reason, we have reached out different stakeholders, including private, public, the academia, research institutions, as well as social movements to be part and parcel of this initiative. Unless we bring them today and discuss on the table, if somebody is lagging behind, then tomorrow will be a bit difficult to come back and then to convince or to start from the scratch. Reliable, quality, and innovative data helps to facilitate information decision making both for policymakers and donors, as I mentioned. In so doing, we hope to encourage this community to make the best use of FAO's livestock data. We have a very reliable data at FAO, but that's not collected by us, it's by countries, member states. What we do is just we give it, a scientific analysis, and then we make part and parcel of our initiative, and then we share it with the member states. We also hope to learn from the community to improve the livestock-related information services that we provide, because information exchange should have to be back and forth. We bring the information from the countries, we somehow work on that, we give them back, and then we collect feedback. This is the way the world is working. I understand that phase 1 of LD4D is drawing to a close. I would like to wish you well in your decisions here and in the planning of the future of the important, valuable work. FAO values your recommendations and stands beside you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Berhe, for those words of welcome from FAO. I'd now like to call upon Professor Andy Peters from the University of Edinburgh, Director of SEBI, to give a few words of welcome. Andy.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Rome. I wanted to welcome all delegates, particularly the first-timers, actually. We think that about half of the delegates here have been to a previous LD4 meeting, so welcome back, but very warm welcome to you, to the new people. we've actually been almost overwhelmed by the number of people wanting to come to this meeting. We've been overwhelmed by that demand. And we were unable to accommodate everyone, but we're very happy that we're able to live stream the proceedings. This is actually the 5th and final meeting of what we're calling SEBI 1. We're actually hoping there will be a SEBI 2, but it's by no means certain at this point in time. But indeed, it's 3 years since the first inception meeting of both SEBI and LD4D was held in Rome. So it's good to come back for this particular occasion. And we're actually very proud to have had the position of being able to host and act as conveners and organisers of LD4D over the last 3 years. So we're very grateful for that, and as I say, we're very proud to have been doing that. There'll be a time at the end of the meeting to thank everyone, but I just wanted to thank a few people at the beginning just to acknowledge the help we've had in setting this meeting up. And particularly thanks to colleagues in FAO who have been at the forefront of livestock data science for many decades. And in acknowledgement of that, we have 2 sessions of the coming meeting related to FAO data utilization and sources, etc. In particular, I wanted to thank Dr. Berhe again, and thank you for your welcome and wise words at the beginning of the meeting. Thank you very much for that, Berhe. And also hosting the meeting here. It's certainly a great pleasure and honour for us to come to FAO and to Rome to do that. Also to Tim, Ugo, Orsi and colleagues for helping to get the meeting organised, but also for your support and for LD4D in general, and obviously keenness to bring us here. And also to Christine Ellefson for logistical support in organising the meeting. Not going to say too much more, but I wanted to also thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and in particular our livestock colleagues, Shannon, Belinda and Obai, who are all present here, so thank you for that. And finally to you, the community, which from our point of view, from the SEBI point of view, has really taken off beyond our expectations. And we think we've started something that is useful and important and adding value to this sector. We have actually within the livestock sector a very eclectic mix of interests, and we think that's very valuable that we bring these interests together, and that we have active discussion and collaboration. So we're looking forward to a vibrant 3 days of discussion and debate. We are making many of you sing for your supper at various points during the meeting, so we are looking forward to that active discussion and participation. And on that note, I'll say a final welcome and thank you and hand back to Alan. Thanks.
Thanks, Andy. And finally, I'd like to invite Belinda Richardson of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to say a few words of welcome on behalf of the sponsor.
Good morning, everyone. So I think first a big thank you to FAO for hosting the LD4D convenings, and to SEBI for putting these together, and to all of you for traveling from your respective locations and really donating your time and energy and perspective to these discussions. So as Andy alluded to, I have the privilege of being joined by Shannon Mezenhowski and Obai Khalifa. Sorry, Obai, I don't see you. There we are. From the foundation. And so we're very happy to be here for these 3 days of discussion. And to join you, I think not to repeat anything that was said in the opening remarks, but just around the importance of livestock for livelihoods and nutrition and the good data that's needed to support the decisions around that. And so I think as the Gates Foundation, we're very privileged to continue to support these livestock data efforts. So not only for our grants and portfolio and our internal decision making as an investment maker, but also at the sector and the country level. And so this community of practice, the working groups that have come together through LD4D, and the various institutions that you represent really continue to drive forward these research priorities. And so we're very happy to be able to support those. And I think having SEBI, the benefit of having SEBI as a neutral convener of this community of practice and the various research and work streams that are represented here today, we're very happy to support them in that role. And so thanks again to the team. We are continually refining our thinking around impact and livestock data. And so particularly, you know, for us and hopefully for you as well, these meetings are very helpful in sort of bringing that progress together and really driving the research priorities in the community of practice and the working groups forward. So again, a big thank you for your inputs and your time today and over the next few days. And just, yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, Belinda. So that brings us to the end of our welcomes, and now we get into the program proper, and I'm going to ask Karen Smyth to come and give her an overview of LD4D, where we've been and where we're going. Karen?
Thank you very much, Alan, and a warm welcome to everyone. It's great to see so many enthusiastic faces in the room, some old, some new, or some sort of long-term LD4Ders and some new to the game. So you're all very welcome. So for the benefit of the new people and also to update the older ones on where we are and where we're going, I'm going to start by giving a short presentation. This is really just to, Andy has already said that we have we've just passed our 3 years at LD4D and we're really starting a new phase. So this is a really good opportunity for us to review what we've achieved, what might not be working, what we might need to do better, and to get your input. LD4D is a community meeting, it's interactive. We're here because we're a community, so we need your input in order to direct us going forward. So this is our 5th meeting, and as Andy said, we started in Rome and we're ending the first phase of LD4D in Rome, which is very nice. And as you can see, we've expanded the community quite a bit over the last 5 years, 3 years, 5 meetings. And you might see some of the early faces in the room here. We identified our vision as driving better livestock decision making in low and middle income countries through improved data and analytics. So all the activities that we've been involved in over the past 3 years should have really been pointing towards that. As Berhe has already said, we've got data challenges, and I'm sure I don't need to tell the people in this room what those data challenges are. But I will anyway. Some of them. So the data is disparate. It's of a poor quality. We have a lack of data. There's a lack of resources to improve the data. There's not really a shared approach to our data consumption. And as you said, there's a lack of evidence-based decisions and poor data for the decision making. So one of the ideas of this community was to bring you wonderful people together. So you're all the individual parts, and we've got academics, we've got people from intergovernmental organisations, we've got Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation grantees, we've got data scientists, we've got livestock specialists all in the room together. Before LD4D, I don't think there were many opportunities to meet together like that. And together we can create a wonderful Mr. Potato Head. So that's the goal of this meeting. By bringing you all together from your different perspectives and different backgrounds, we try and create something that we couldn't have ordinarily done before. So I just want to reflect on what we've achieved in the last 3 years and then move on to thinking about the future a little bit more. So firstly, we've grown a community. Which wasn't there before. We've had 5 meetings. We're expecting through the next 3 days to have about 70 or 80 people involved in this meeting. Some will come and go. We have hopefully some people on live stream. I'm pretty sure that we do because they've told me they were joining. We have about 240 subscribing to our newsletter. 740 Twitter followers, and about 245 visitors to our website per month. So we have been growing this community from nothing really, so that's where we've got to with that. This is the representation of those who attended the first meeting, and this is a representation of those involved in this current meeting or who are currently inputting to LD4D. So we've grown in terms of the organisations, but also in terms of the specialism. So we, at the start, we didn't really have the private sector. Now we have some involvement from the private sector. So that should evolve the thinking and the discussion over the course of the meeting. One thing that we've really focused on quite a lot is trying to collate hard-to-reach data. We, in previous meetings, have presented our donor portal, which is where we collate information on projects funded by donors. We started off with BMGF grants funded in the livestock sector. We've widened that now to include US aid. So it looks at the grants funded past and present. We've presented that in data visualization, so you can interrogate who's working where, on what. So if you're interested in Ethiopian chickens, you can put on a filter and see who else is working there or who has worked there in the past. Our ambition is, over the next year or so, is to really expand that and gather all the funders, the grants who have been funded in livestock, and present that on our data portal. We've also been working on systematic mapping, and this is sort of looking at disease prevalence, a range of diseases in countries, and mapping those already, also in interactive visualizations. And we've been working with some data scientists to really speed up that process, so we've made a lot of progress there as well. However, this is all a pretty substantial job, and there's still a lot of work to do. Later this morning, Gareth's going to talk about livestockdata.org. This has been on the cards for some time, and this is pulling together the information that we've got on livestock data and presenting it through data visualizations and other tools so you can find information easily and interrogate it. We also want to, it's a community effort, it's a resource for the community, so we would like to present your work, your papers, your data, and really have it an interactive platform for the community. We also have contributed to knowledge over the last 3 years. One of our key products was Livestock Facts series, and this is where we interrogated commonly known facts in the livestock, commonly used facts by the livestock community, and really drilled down to see how much truth there were in those facts. And we presented them in fact sheets. We also had a conference paper, a publication, which I think is out now. Yeah, and it's been a really very much a community effort. We've also done a lot of work on systematic mapping and developed quite a novel approach. We have a paper that's about to be published, and we're working on another paper on rapid appraisal. The idea being that that's helping us to collate data. We also had a project probably a year and a half ago in the demand study, which looked into the dairy sector in Ethiopia and produced a report based on that. Community collaboration. I would imagine there's quite a few people in this room who have made connections through LD4D and who may not have known each other before this meeting. So we think it's a really good opportunity to meet as a fairly new community and exchange ideas. Some areas that I've highlighted, we've been working SEBI, GalvMed and CSIRO to consolidate our livestock modelling efforts. That's been quite successful. We're currently working on an ontology working group, which will be discussed later today in one of the working groups that Vanessa is running. LD4D is also involved in big data and agriculture, and I saw Brian King is in the room, who represents big data and agriculture. So we're very glad to have a connection with the CG, and this is something that we're working on, but we really benefit from understanding the wider agricultural community's data challenges and learning from them. They've got a great meeting which takes place once a year that we've been contributing to. We've also been working with other initiatives, and we've had a lot of interaction with GLAAD, and we will continue to do so in the future. And finally, LD4D has put on at least one webinar, if not more, and also workshops to try and bring connections closer and to share information. So LD4D, the next phase. So what I'd like to do now is look at essentially our theory of change, where LD4D emerged from, what was our thinking, whether we've been successful in achieving it, and what do we need to do better. So it's sort of a critical analysis of our theory of change. So this is quite a complicated and overly colourful slide, so I'm going to break it down into sections. So firstly, what was the problem that we set off with 3 years ago? What did we set off to try and achieve? We identified that data producers and data users were disconnected. And our assessment of the situation is that we're moving in the right direction, but we need a greater focus on resolving challenges and making an impact. Point 2 of the problems was that there was no dedicated forum to discuss livestock data issues and best practices. So we've got this forum, so we're making some progress there. There's always room for improvement. The third problem was that there was unmet potential in sharing, collaborating and tackling joint problems. We feel, again, we've made progress, but we feel that we need to address some strategic questions, such as data suppliers, as many of us are we collectively making an impact in this sector? And for data users, are you getting the right data and the right quality that you need to make your decisions? Considering the solutions that we'd identified, we felt that we needed to target knowledge exchange, and this is one of the opportunities to do that. However, is LD4D this style of meeting? Are we growing too big for this style of meeting? Do we need to move to more topical groups, training, conferences, or a combination of all of the above? The second solution was to create working groups and short life groups to explore solutions to data challenges. We've had some success here. The key facts, ontology are 2 ongoing working groups, but the working groups have not really been fully resourced. So the SEBI team has been pushing these forward, but it's been quite a strain trying to push them on. So we need to think about how we do those better in the future. The third solution was a central resource to share materials, and we've created livestockdata.org. We feel we've made significant progress here, but again, more resources are needed to really make the big push and pull that information together. We're very close. We've really made a lot of progress with the data scientists that we're working to speed up the process, so it's very encouraging. So in terms of revenue streams, we're solely funded by BMGF currently, so you could say that is a bit of a risk. If you guys decide you don't want to fund us in the future, if this community feels this is a valuable endeavour. And also we're solely reliant on quite a low number of staff. I think when we set out 3 years ago, we hadn't appreciated the effort that would need to be put into LD4D. So we're facilitating the COP and the working groups, communication, research, admin and event planning, but we didn't really anticipate that. So how do we address this in the future to sustain the community? Do we look to expand funding resources? Do we charge fees for conferences? So the unique value proposition. So LD4D aims to drive informed livestock decision making. However, are we doing this, and how can it be quantified? We also say that we're trying to collaborate on new and innovative data solutions. I think here we're making good progress, and you will hopefully see the benefits in the very near future. And we're also trying to bring data suppliers and data users together. How can we do this better? By the way, I didn't set these titles, they're fixed titles. This is quite an unusual one, or unfair advantage. We had to think quite a long time what was meant by that. What we've heard is that we are viewed as an honest broker. We're not pushing one argument or another. We have independent convening, and we're flexible to respond to challenges. However, we should always question, is this still the case? In terms of pathways to customers, how should we grow? How should we better engage with decision makers? How should we better engage with you, the community? So that's kind of our reflection or internal turmoil over whether we're doing a good job, whether we're meeting the objectives of the community. The last meeting we had in Hanoi in November, just over a year ago, set us some challenges. And one of the challenges was that we were to move towards a more solutions-oriented approach. We were to move towards more novel data collection, collation, and extraction techniques, and we were to develop the website. So I think we've acted in all of these. So in the last year, I think we have moved forward in those areas. So now to the future, trying to be proactive in our approach. I've identified some thematic areas that we might like to consider for LD4D2. Areas that we would really like to dive into, and I really want to hear your views. At the end of the meeting, we will have, some of you may be familiar with the Menti polls, which you can sort of give your views and score these different things. But I'll just walk through them quickly. So again, just thinking on, this is your community and this is your future direction. This will be part of our roadmap for the next 5 years. So one theme could be around scaling up. What is or what could be collectively achieved through livestock investments? We've got a lot of investments in the room. How can we actually, achieve and move the dial? Is it possible to align investments to make a bigger impact? How many farmers reached before we reach that target, whatever that target is? Attracting the private sector. This has been mentioned many times before. We need to have more private sector involvement in LD4D. Can the private sector deliver significant change at scale? And will this support smallholder farmers, or will it operate at a level above that? What data do we need to supply to encourage the private sector to become engaged? Ticking the temperature. Climate change has really moved up the agenda, but this community doesn't really engage very much, I think, by and large. It doesn't really engage. We might overlap with climate change. Should we be working with other communities to help provide livestock data to those communities and help answer some of the big questions? Novel data solutions. This is something that we're, as I said a few times already, we're making advances in. But can data analytics help transform the livestock sector? Can we utilize novel technology to really help accelerate change in this sector? Making an impact. Can we adequately measure the changes that we're hoping to make? Behavioral change, decision makers' use of our outputs, and what's the best practice in this area? And finally, putting our house in order. We know we've got problems with data entry, data cleaning, data storage, and so on. The list continues. What can we do as a community to influence those people who can make a change? So the LD4D Toolbox is quite wide-ranging. Some of these tools we use already. Livestockdata.org would really like to use as a tool to share, communicate, and so on. This community meeting is another opportunity. For those of you not previously involved in this community meeting, you will have to roll up your sleeves and get involved. We've got lots of breakout groups. It's very interactive. So I'm sorry if you thought you were coming to a conference and you've ended up having to participate quite a lot. We could have a conference maybe every 2 to 3 years. It would obviously be a very different feel to this meeting, but could involve a much wider range of people. We could run training courses. We have done some already. We could create a think tank, critical insights group, webinar, thematic meetings, blogs, etc. The list can continue. Also, we have not really fully engaged with other players in this sector. We've sort of attended some of the meetings. We're glad to have Michael Victor here in the room somewhere. Michael's here, who is involved in the GLAAD project, and we have had representation from GLAAD throughout LD4D's history. And I think we've also quite a few people who are involved in the global agenda for sustainable livestock, and I believe they've also created a community of practice, so we may have representation from that group as well. So I kind of divided these into different sort of segments. We sit over here in agriculture, livestock and data with the big data and agriculture, so that's very much our arena. There's another arena down here which is animal health and disease research, and they also have community groups. GLAAD's at the top, and then we've got the climate and livestock or agriculture groups. So are we making the most of our interactions with these other groups? Could we take learnings from those groups and really try and drive forward our thinking? So the next 2.5 days is really our opportunity to harvest your thinking. What we want to do is listen in, make notes. Oops, what's happened? Make notes and work through those and then feed back the outputs to you as an emergent phase 2 plan. So that's the idea. So please enjoy the meeting, interact fully, and we look forward to hearing your inputs. Thank you.